My daughter. Since your dad in the pink? Bro, you gotta prove my daughter.
There was a park. I remember when we talked about. I don't know which tree it was. Yeah, I mean, I can't drive by and go, oh, look how nice that.
I'm looking at tiles here, not at the That's the way I have to go to the border.
Wait for Carol. Is it still on, Carol?
Yeah.
Ready? Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2016.
That's neat. It's like.
Ready? All right, please call the roll.
Mayor Delacuilla,
Here.
Director Law Pignatello,
Here.
Councilman at Large Barr,
Here.
Councilman at Large Kranek,
Here.
Councilman at Large Traffus,
Here.
Ward 1 Councilman Biassiata,
Here.
Ward 2 Councilman Frondor,
Here.
Ward 3 Councilman Kukrow,
Here.
Director of Public Service and Properties Levy,
Here.
Building Commissioner Morrow.
Okay, Councilman Barth.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to waive the 24-hour delivery requirement for ordinance number 76, 2016. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with the Board of Education of the Parma City School District of Parma, Ohio, to provide transportation for summer camp field trips.
See if it worked.
Said agreement shall terminate August 23rd, 2016, authorizing an amount not to exceed $4,500 for said service and declaring an emergency, and to amend the agenda by entering ordinance number 76, 2016 onto the agenda as item number 9P1 as an emergency measure, if there is no division of the question.
I'd like to second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Frondor,
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow,
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. The agenda has been amended. We'll move on to the reading and disposal of the journal minutes of the regular council meeting held May 23rd, 2016.
Yes, Council President.
Councilman Frondor.
Yes, having read the council minutes of the council meeting dated May 23rd, 2016, I find no errors or omissions, and therefore I move that they be approved as printed.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. The meeting minutes of the regular council meeting held May 23rd, 2016 have been approved. Moving on to consent agenda number 1.
Mr. President,
Councilman Barth.
If there's no division of the question, I move that we accept the consent agenda number 1 dated June 13th, 2016.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth.
Yes.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Consent agenda number 1 has been accepted. Moving on to consent agenda number 2.
Mr. President,
Councilman
if
Barth.
there's no division of the question, I move that we accept the consent agenda number 2 for June 13th, 2016.
I second.
Just for matter of record, I will be recusing myself from this item.
And as a matter of record, I'll be recusing myself from this item.
Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth.
Yes.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Consent agenda number 2 has been accepted. Moving on to resolutions of commendation. There are none. Okay, reports of committees. The Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee last met on May 16th. Those meeting minutes have been filed with the clerk, and our next meeting will be held on June 20th. Public Works Committee, Councilman Petro.
Mr. Chairman, we met on June 6th, and the minutes are on file with the clerk.
Thank you, Councilman. Community Services, Councilman Barth.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, our last meeting was on June 6th. Those minutes are on file with the clerk, and the next meeting is scheduled for July 5th.
Thank you, Councilman. Police and Safety, Councilman Kranek.
Yes, Mr. President, Police, Fire, and Safety's next meeting is scheduled for June 20th.
Thank you, Councilman. Parks and Recreation, Councilman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next park meeting is on the 20th, and the meeting minutes are forthcoming.
Thank you, Councilman. Rules, Ordinances, and Ethics, Councilman Biassiata.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our last regularly scheduled meeting was June 6th. We just concluded today, June 13th, a special meeting of the Rules Committee. Those minutes are pending. Our next scheduled meeting is July 11th.
Thank you, Councilman. Finance, Civil Service, and Personnel, Councilman Frondor.
The last meeting that we held was on June 6th. Our next meeting will be on June 20th, and the minutes are forthcoming.
Thank you, Councilman. Appointments and confirmations, Mayor Delaquila.
Thank you, Mr. President. The city received a communication recently from the Regional Council of Governments of the Regional Income Tax Agency, reminding us that the city at this point in time does not have a delegate or an alternate delegate to the Council of Governments. Having spoken with the law director to determine whether I and the council president can serve in those capacities, which are both uncompensated positions, we've been told that it would be proper for us to serve. And so at this point, if there's no division of the question, I would like to nominate myself to serve as the delegate to the Regional Council of Governments of the Regional Income Tax Agency, and Council President Matt Traffus to serve as the alternate delegate.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I motion to approve both appointments.
I'll second that.
Can you please state who they are? We need that for the record.
I motion to approve the appointment of Mayor Delaquila and Council President Traffus.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth.
Yes.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Appointments have been confirmed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Communications, petitions, and claims.
Yes, I have a couple of items. The first is a letter from the Zaccaro family, from Sister Rosemary Zaccaro. On May 25th, she writes to Dear Michael Barth, Tony Biassiata, and Council, and Mayor Delaquila. It's easy to say thank you, but not everyone have people as nice as you to say it to. Our appreciation for honoring our mother, Sally Zaccaro, with the city's proclamation touched Mom and our entire family. We celebrated the occasion afterwards with ice cream. One question, is Mom the oldest living resident in Seven Hills? Again, our deepest appreciation. Mary Elena, Michael, and Sister Rosemary Zaccaro. Next, we have a communication to Service Director Levis from John and Teresa Vittori of Cabrini Lane. And they write, "My wife and I recently moved back to Cleveland, the Cleveland area for my new job. This past Sunday, we experienced a sewer backup. My neighbor said I should contact the city, and she also indicated that she has always received a very good response when needed. On Tuesday of this week, I called your office and was subsequently contacted back by Mike, I assume the supervisor. Mike stated that they would try to get me by the end of their day. Mike and his crew arrived around midday and were great. They explained the possible causes of the backup, dug up a very small portion of the front yard, and quickly took care of the blockage. We really appreciate their professionalism and prompt response. Thanks again, John and Teresa Battori of Cabrini Lane." Also have a thank you letter from Michael and Mary Alice Lesiak. And they're writing to Officer Gary Nowak, number 33. "Dear Officer, thank you for the way you performed your job recently when you responded to a call at my house about plants and trees being killed or contaminated with gasoline. I was impressed with your professionalism, concern, and caring, even if there are limits to what you can do. I'm looking into getting a security camera. Unfortunately, the pear tree looks like it may die and may need to be cut down. Thanks and best regards from Michael and Mary Alice Lesiak." Now I need to read into the record the letter of resignation from Councilman Michael Barth. Dated June 6th, addressed to the Clerk of Council. This letter is to inform you that I will be resigning from my elected position of Council at Large. My last official day will be June 19th, 2016, as I will be relocating out of the city on that day. The associations I have made in my 10 years as an elected official will truly be memorable. I especially thank the residents of Seven Hills for the opportunity to serve our city. Sincerely, Michael C. Barth, Councilman at Large, City of Seven Hills.
Thank you, Carol. According to our charter and rules of council, at this meeting, City Council needs to accept the resignation of Councilman at Large Mike Barth, and the councilman who is resigning needs to recuse himself from this vote according to the law director. So I will make a motion to accept the resignation of Seven Hills Councilman at Large Michael C. Barth due to out-of-city residence relocation effective June 20th, 2016.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? I'd like to say that there will be some discussion. I suggest we hold it to the end of the meeting in our miscellaneous comments. Please call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Council has accepted the resignation of Councilman at Large Michael C. Barth. Okay, council will now be open to the audience on legislation only. Anything that is appearing on our agenda tonight, please step forward if you have any comments. Approach the podium and state your name and address. Is there anybody in the first row? Second row? Third row?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Tom Snitsky, 2033 Hillside Road. I just did a quick look through here, and I may have missed it, but have they tabled the deer hunting ordinance?
It's on the agenda, which I believe you have. And it's,
66.
I'm sorry?
66 is the number.
66. Okay, I'm sorry, I did not see it. Okay, thanks.
you're welcome. Anybody further in the third row? Fourth row? Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 55, 2016.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Petro.
I move that council suspends the rules under the charter and reads ordinance 55, 2016 by title only for its final reading.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth.
Yes.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Frondor.
Yes.
Kranek.
Yes.
Kukrow.
Yes.
Petro.
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Ordinance number 55, 2016, introduced by councilpersons Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro, An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with the Village of Newburgh Heights Fire Department for the sale of one used Stryker ambulance cot for the total amount of $500.
Ordinance number 55, 2016 has been read for its third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
I
Petro.
move that council passes ordinance 55, 2016.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Frondor,
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow,
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Ordinance 55, 2016 has passed. Moving on to amended ordinance number 56, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Barth.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read amended ordinance number 56, 2016 by title only for its third and final reading.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Frondor,
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow,
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 56, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondorf, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 125.02, Director of Senior and Community Services, as contained in chapter 125, Mayor, of Title V, Administrative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of amending the title of the Director.
Ordinance number 56, 2016 has been read for its third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Barth.
I move that we pass amended ordinance number 56, 2016.
I second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Frondor,
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow,
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Amended ordinance 56, 2016 has passed. Ordinance number 57, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we suspend the rules under charter and read ordinance number 57-2016 by title only for its third and final reading.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Frondor,
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow,
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Ordinance number 57, 2016, introduced by councilpersons Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 151.091, compensation of employees generally, as contained in chapter 151, employees generally, of Title V, Administrative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills for the purpose of amending the title of Director of Senior and Community Services.
Ordinance number 57, 2016 has been read for its third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we pass ordinance number 57-2016.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Frondor,
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow,
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Ordinance 57, 2016 has passed. Moving on to ordinance number 58, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we table ordinance number 58, 2016.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth,
Yes.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Frondor,
Yes.
Kranek,
Yes.
Kukrow,
Yes.
Petro,
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Ordinance number 58, 2016 has been tabled. We will now have the second reading of ordinance number 63, 2016.
Ordinance number 63, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Courtview Justice Solutions of Canton, Ohio, for the purpose of performing annual maintenance and support of the mayor's court legacy case management system software and the right to use license, and appropriating the sum not to exceed $2,188 for said service.
Ordinance 63, 2016 has been read for its second reading. We will now have the second reading of ordinance number 64, 2016.
Ordinance 64, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with ABC Fire Incorporated of North Rolton, Ohio, for the purpose of replacing the smoke detectors for the ceiling of the Community Recreation Center Gymnasium, along with troubleshooting the duct detector RTU-7 at the Community Recreation Center and authorizing an amount not to exceed $4,995 for said service.
Ordinance number 64, 2016 has been read for its second reading. We will now have the second reading of ordinance number 65, 2016.
Ordinance number 665, 2016, introduced by councilpersons Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend subsection 963.02E, location of heat pumps and air conditioning units as contained in Chapter 963, First Residential Districts of Title IX, Zoning Use Districts of Part 9, Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of revising the placement of heat pumps, air conditioning units, generators, pool pumps, or other mechanical equipment.
Ordinance number 65, 2016 has been read for its second reading. We will now have the second reading of ordinance number 66, 2016.
Ordinance number 66, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delaquilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance to amend section 505.11, hunting prohibited, as contained in chapter 505, animals and fowl, of part 5, general offenses code of the codified ordinances of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of authorizing a nuisance abatement initiative for both short-term and long-term control and reduction of the white-tailed deer population in coordination with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and contiguous adjoining political subdivisions that opt to adopt a similar plan for nuisance abatement.
Ordinance number 66, 2016 has been read for its second reading. Ordinance number 68, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we amend ordinance number 68, 2016 to include adding an emergency.
Councilman Barth.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Ordinance number 68, 2016 has been amended to add the emergency clause. Is there a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read amended ordinance number 68, 2016 for its final reading and declaring an emergency.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 68, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Richard L. Bowen and Associates Incorporated of Cleveland, Ohio, in an amount not to exceed $19,500 for professional services for the proposed Hemlock Creek Watershed Utility Improvement Project in the city of Seven Hills and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 68, 2016 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we pass amended ordinance number 68, 2016.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Amended ordinance number 68, 2016 has been passed. Ordinance number 69, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and amend ordinance number 69-2016 by adding an emergency.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Ordinance number 69, 2016 has been amended to add the emergency clause. Is there a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we suspend the rules under charter and read amended ordinance 69-2016 by title only for its first and final reading.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 69, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondorf, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Richard L. Bowen and Associates Incorporated of Cleveland, Ohio, in an amount not to exceed $30,000 for engineering services provided for plan reviews and inspections for amended ordinance 43, 2016 for the year 2016 and declaring an emergency.
Amended ordinance number 69, 2016 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Biassiata.
I move that we pass amended ordinance number 69-2016.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus.
Yes. Amended ordinance number 69, 2016 has passed. We will now have the first reading of ordinance number 70, 2016.
Ordinance number 70, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Cuyahoga County District Board of Health for the purpose of monitoring and testing MS4 outfall locations as required by the city's National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit for stormwater and appropriating funds not to exceed $3,711 for said service for the year 2016 report period.
Ordinance number 70, 2016 has been read for its first reading. We will now have the first reading of ordinance number 71, 2016.
Ordinance number 71, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Toshiba Business Solutions of Akron, Ohio, for the semi-annual maintenance and support contract for the E-Studio 2330 CUSN Black and Color Multifunction Unit in the Engineering Department, and appropriating a sum not to exceed $474.36 every 6 months for the life of the machine for said service.
Ordinance number 71, 2016 has been read for its first reading. We will now have the first reading of ordinance number 72, 2016.
Ordinance number 72, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Extend Technologies of Broadview Heights, Ohio, in an amount not to exceed $1,584 to assess the entire city of Seven Hills municipal building network and to create a network map showing locations, equipment, and IP addresses to provide easier network management and overview.
Ordinance number 72, 2016 has been read for its first reading. We'll now have the first reading of ordinance number 73, 2016.
Ordinance number 73, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delacroix and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an affiliation agreement for job training experiential learning program on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, and the Parma City School District Board of Education of Parma, Ohio, for the purpose of providing practical, community-based work experience for the educational benefit of the students in a natural work environment at the Seven Hills City Administration Building.
Ordinance number 73, 2016 has been read for its first reading. We'll now have the first reading of ordinance number 74, 2016.
Ordinance number 74, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with various vendors for the purchase, installation, and necessary appurtenances of 6 WatchGuard 4RE cameras, 1 computer server, and the installation of the WatchGuard cameras for the City of Seven Hills Police Department, and appropriating the sum not to exceed $44,799.50 for said purchases and services, of which $20,000 of grant money received from the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office will be used for said purchases and services.
Ordinance number 74, 2016 has been read for its first reading. We will now have the first reading of ordinance number 75, 2016.
Ordinance number 75, 2016, introduced by councilpersons Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, a certain charter amendment pursuant to Article 10 of the Charter of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of allowing the electors to vote on the question of an income tax levy at a general primary or special election.
Ordinance number 75, 2016 has been read for its first reading.
76.
Ordinance number 76, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Barth.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 76, 2016 by title only for its first and final reading.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes.
Ordinance number 76, 2016, introduced by Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with the Board of Education of the Parma City School District of Parma, Ohio, to provide transportation for summer camp field trips. Said agreement shall terminate August 23rd, 2016, authorizing an amount not to exceed $4,500 for said service and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance number 76, 2016 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Barth.
I move that we pass ordinance number 76, 2016.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Ordinance number 76, 2016 has passed. Resolution number 36, 2016.
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondorf.
I move that council suspend the rules under the charter and reads resolution number 36, 2016 by title only for its final reading.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes.
Resolution number 36, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delaquilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. Resolution of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, expressing the mayor's and council's support of the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center of Cleveland, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Resolution number 36, 2016 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Frondor.
I move that we adopt resolution number 36, 2016.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Resolution number 36, 2016 has been adopted. Resolution number 37, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Barth.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read our resolution 37, 2016 by title only for its first and final reading.
Second motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes.
Resolution number 37, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delaquilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. A resolution approving and accepting temporary utility easements granted to the City of Seven Hills, Ohio by Walter and Anastasia Dubik, Romanino DeVincenzo, Michelle Amgeros, Thomas and Martha Castora Sr., and Steve and Laura Mazakowski for the installation, construction, and maintenance of utilities, together with all appurtenances, appropriating the sum not to exceed $1,550 for the acquisition of said easements and declaring an emergency.
Resolution number 37, 2016 has been read for its first and final reading. Is there a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Barth.
I move that we adopt Resolution 37, 2016.
Second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Resolution 37, 2016 has been adopted. Resolution number 38, 2016.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kukrow.
I move that we amend Resolution number 38, 2016 to remove the emergency clause.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Resolution number 38, 2016 has been amended to remove the emergency clause, and we will now have the first reading of amended resolution number 38, 2016.
Amended Resolution Number 38, 2016, introduced by Mayor Delacuilla and Councilman Traffus, Frondor, Barth, Kranek, Biassiata, Kukrow, and Petro. A resolution declaring it necessary to renew an existing tax levy, providing funds for the payment of permanent and part-time firefighters, including the payment of the firefighter employer's contribution required under Section 742.34 of the revised code, and the provision of ambulance, paramedic, and other emergency medical services operated by the city's fire department pursuant to Sections 5705.03 and 5705.19I of the revised code and no emergency, sorry.
Amended resolution number 38, 2016 has been read for its first reading. Okay, council will now be open to the audience. If you have any comments to make, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Is there anybody in the first row? Is there anybody in the second row? Third row? Fourth row? Fifth row? We'll start all over again. First row.
Tom Jarvis, 224 Crescent Ridge Drive. Tonight's a great event for me anyhow. Mr. Barth announcing his resignation. No secret that he's not a fan of mine, I'm not a fan of his. When the mayor recently appointed me to the planning commission, Mr. Barth chastised the mayor for that appointment, and council's subsequent approval was something like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm sure there's going to be a commendation coming out of you guys somewhere. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm going to get in my "are you kidding me" ahead of time. Mr. Barth has been the single most destructive force in this city for a long time. Finance committee, council boss, dragged us down this path, and as recently as the last few months, he said, "We're not broke." Some kind of denial. It's obvious, finance department figures say 2018, Katie get the dustpan, it's gonna be bankruptcy if we don't come up with some kind of funding. So you guys give your commendation if you must, but I can't imagine anybody who deserves one less. And thank God you're going, Mike. Hope you don't decide to punish independents. Thank you.
Don't lower yourself to his level.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, anybody else in the first row?
I wasn't going to make any comments, but I think because you disagree with the person is absolutely no reason for disrespect. Best wishes, Mike.
Is there anybody further? Lucy.
Yeah, somebody used their head and said the right stuff. Good evening, Council Mayor, Lucy McKernan, 755 Hillside Road. I just got off work, so I missed did you have the second reading of
Yes.
ordinance number
66.
66? And you passed that on the second reading?
No,
You haven't? Oh, you just had the first preliminary?
we had the second reading.
Okay, so you did have the second reading?
Yes.
Tonight, okay, so you're done with that part. All right, well, I just wanted to say, in keeping with this gentleman's comment about even if we disagree with other people, to respect them, I feel very uncomfortable with this ordinance. I just want to go on record. We live in a world where anything that is considered a nuisance or different gets shot. We saw what happened yesterday in our country, and I think it's all part of the same culture. It's all part of the same mentality of hate, whether it is a human species or another species. And I completely disagree with this ordinance, and I know you all know that, but I want to go on record saying my heart is broken. I watched a little fawn dance in the rain in my backyard last week, and it was so happy. First time it ever experienced rain. I'm not some dumb-ass, broad, Bambi-loving, stupid, naive woman, okay? I'm a researcher who has researched this issue for 8 years. I've lived here for 9 years. There is not one single logical, pragmatic reason to kill these deer. There's been no deer vehicle crashes that have caused human fatalities in Cuyahoga County, let alone Seven Hills, for 5 years. There's no documented cases reported to the Cuyahoga County Board of Health for Lyme disease. And I feel that the word, if I were going to narrow it all down to one thing, the word nuisance is what I object to most. These are a native species who've lived on the North American continent for 5 to 10 million years. And we've been here for 13 to 15,000, and who the hell do these residents and certain people, not all of them on council, think they are to say that they're a nuisance? I do not consider them a nuisance. I love them. And I also let the facts inform my opinion. I don't let my emotions get in the way of my opinion. My opinion is based on fact and emotion, both. And that's what makes women so cool.
Anybody further?
Hard to follow that up. First off, I have two things.
Please state your name and address.
Tim Musconish, 987 Nemeth Drive. I think most of you know. First off, I'd like to express some gratitude towards Mike Barth for his service. I haven't been in the city all that long, but I appreciate it. I know you've dealt with a lot. Thank you for that.
Thank
you. You're welcome. Second of all, this is addressed to council as a whole. It's my understanding that one of our council members has pled guilty to a charge of dereliction of duty. And with regard to the confidential nature of information obtained and releasing confidential nature, is that true? Mr. Law Director, is that true to your knowledge?
This is not the forum for back and forth, Tim. You can
Okay.
make whatever comments you want, but
Okay. Well, I believe that to be true in the Parma courts. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. According to ordinance 1523.09 for the city of Seven Hills, it says, in addition to the above penalty, which if you want to read the ordinance, you're welcome to do that. In addition to the above penalty, any employee of the city of Seven Hills who violates the provisions of this section relative to the disclosure of confidential information shall be guilty of an offense punishable by immediate dismissal. From what I understand, this person is still on council. And I have an issue with that, seeing as we're trying to court businesses to come to the city of Seven Hills, invest their money going forward, and yet we have a council member that has admitted or pled guilty to dereliction of duty for releasing confidential tax information. To me, that seems counterproductive. And to follow that up, I believe it's council's job to police themselves, and just disappointed that that hasn't happened. From what I understand, it's punishable by immediate dismissal. and I address this to council, the law director, and the mayor as well. I think the ordinance states pretty clearly what should happen, and just curious as to if that will happen, when it will, or if it's even been discussed. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any further comments? Saw this one coming.
Jerry Traffus, 990 Aspenwood. I like to sit back there nice and quietly, but I have to say that, Tim, you are so out of your league, you can't even imagine. One of the reasons that you lost so badly as a councilman at large race is because you were completely just out of it. If you do some research and understand what the issues are, you'll probably be coming back to this council and apologizing on your knees. I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Just go on the record that do a little homework, get away from the emotion, and figure out what's really going on in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further comment?
It's not about it here.
Come on up, Lucy.
Lucy McKernan, 755 Hillside Road. I know this issue a little bit that this gentleman was just talking about, and I have to say, I have no problems with your performance, Mr. Traffus. I know we're not supposed to discuss litigation or personal, but I really think that what you did was the same thing I did, only I'm not on council. I am always digging and doing open public records. I am always researching and publishing stories. I mean, you know that. I dig up the truth and I tell the truth, and that's all you did. And whether you knew, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. Whether you knew you were supposed to do it, I don't know. It sounds like a stupid technicality to me, and it sounds like this is politically motivated. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. The only thing I'm going to say in response to all that is once this court case is over, I'm going to be informing every resident in this city of what really happened, and it's going to blow your mind when you find out what happened. And I hope you read about this, Tim. Any further comment? Okay. Come on up, Tim.
In response to that, I know there's a newspaper or newsletter that goes out both from the city and from a group of, I think, some council members or whatever it is. I do have a question of how much money has been spent on prosecuting Mr. Traffus for that offense as well. Will that be published by the city? Will that be published in the newsletter? Just to make residents aware. And it's not politically motivated. I lost an election. That's what happens in politics. I can handle it. I'm a big boy, and you haven't heard hide nor hair of me since, but I'm a concerned resident. I live in the city. My parents live in the city. I plan on raising a family here. I plan on being here a long time. So, thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Always a pleasure. Okay. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael Minista, 854 East Park Haven. I understand that we may be facing some issues regarding county ordinances with Hillside and Rockside Road. I understand that Mr. Cross may be putting legal action through to have the city speed limit adjusted to 35 miles an hour. At Hillside Road, it is listed as 25 miles an hour. There's an expenditure of money that we have to think about in having the speed limit signs adjusted to 35, but the issue comes into safety issue regarding keeping it at where it currently is at 25 miles per hour. And I understand that in order to fight the cost of getting the new speed signs up to ordinance for county purposes. We need to save money. So I don't know what's cheaper in the long run or what's more cost effective is to keep our stop signs at 25, which I feel it necessary as it is a safety issue on Hillside Road. It should be kept at 25 miles an hour. I don't see why we should spend the money to buy speed limit signs for 35 miles an hour when everything is fine. My question is can we obtain records from the police station? Did we give any tickets out? Did the police give any tickets out to any residents for traveling 35 and under? So we can have this to show Mr. Cross when and if he does pursue legal action against this. My option is, what is the best way financially for us to move forward with this issue, because we can't continue to keep ducking this issue. Eventually, Mr. Cross probably will pursue legal action. So I'm leaving it as a soundbite that this is a matter that we have to address. I definitely feel we should keep it at 25, but anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Regarding any traffic tickets or anything like that, you're more than welcome to request that information as public record, and you can do so through the law department. Thank you, sir. Any further comment? Tom?
Tom Snitsky, 2033 Hillside. As to what this gentleman says, I'm somewhat aware of this because it was talked about when I was on council. I've lived on that street or been affiliated with that street, house on that street that I live in now for 40 years. And I cannot tell you how many people over the years that I've pulled out of cars, seen wrecked, kids hit by bikes coming down the Seven Hills walkway, just shooting out in the street and getting hit by cars. Guys, I don't know what the legal ramifications, I don't know if you can do it, but you really need to keep that 25 miles an hour. People come over the top of that hill, they're doing 50 half the time. And it would be really bad if the speed limit was, legal speed limit was 35. It would just be, I can't imagine how fast people would be going if they're already going as fast as they're going. And I can't imagine the number of wrecks that would happen. You know, we had somebody last year that went off the road right into the ditch over there. Okay. I appreciate that you continue to move the deer hunting ordinance forward. You know, the people have voted. The resolution was well written. I think we need to continue the process of getting that. You know, I think a lot of the concerns that are being expressed here are fringe concerns, and I think you need to continue the process and make sure. I'm not going to say any more. I took a few notes, but I'm going to leave it lie. But I think you need to continue that process and get that passed on the next council meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comment? Okay. We now have the reports and communications from the mayor and safety director, Mayor Delaquila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to speak briefly about the resignation of Councilman Barth. I want to first begin by saying what a rare privilege and honor it has been, Mike, to have worked with you on the many things that the city has confronted in the last 12, 14 years, 10. Okay, to me it seems much longer than that. You have been a voice of professionalism and reason in a sea of turmoil. You brought innovations to this city that were never even thought of. For example, the annual line-by-line budgetary review process that we now go through. That just simply didn't happen until you brought that idea here. The sharing of taxes when when businesses leave our community, allowing us to enter an engagement with the Cleveland Water Department that allowed us to replace water lines at no charge to the city. That was you. We worked together on a number of challenges. The restructuring of the debt cost about $1 million. We've spent that down. We're back to now where we were a few years ago when that occurred. The furlough program, the buyouts, the cell phone tower. These were all things that I'm proud to say that we worked on together to save our community in a very difficult financial time. As a result of that work, we effectively tripled our savings to $5.6 million, our cash reserves. We began this year with a cash reserve of about $3.2 million. We understand that continuing deficit spending is going to have to be addressed. On behalf of the city and myself personally, I just want to say thank you for working for us, with us, and on behalf of the community that you have spent the bulk of your life in and raising your family and devoting yourself in the face of unfair criticism and challenges, a lot of personal attacks that were undeserved, to get this city on track. You are an example to all of us of what public service is, and effectively basically doing it for free. And so the one thing I would say that probably resonates the most with me at this point is you will be missed. You will be missed. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. Reports from the directors of departments and other officials. Director of Law, Richard Pignatello.
Yes, thank you. I was going to save my comments for the future resolution accommodation, but given that Tom opened up the subject matter, I'd like to briefly make some comments about Mike Barth. I have the utmost respect for Mike Barth. I've worked with over 100 councilmen in 20-some years of service here. And Mike is one of the brightest and hardest working councilmen that we've ever had. And just to pick one issue, no one's had a bigger impact on cost savings in Seven Hills than Mike Barth through his institution of the budget hearings. I agree there's a lot of hard work left to be done. Maybe the hardest work is left to be done. It's a shame that we're not going to have Mike here to help do it. But I wish you nothing but the best, Mike. He's a great father, husband, and you've done an exceptionally good job in your years here, and you should be proud of that work. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rich. Director of Public Service and Properties, Stuart Levis.
Yes, Mr. President. Thanks to Gene Troiano and his staff for maintaining. He painted the baseball building at Valleywood. That's a long overdue. Thanks. That was done a few weeks ago. And I want to say all the best to Mike Barth, Councilman Barth, and also former Mayor Barth. It's been a pleasure working with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart. Okay, we'll now have council's miscellaneous. We'll start with Councilman Frondorf.
Well, I've never been very good at waxing. I've never been very good at waxing eloquent, as Rich and the mayor. But I will say this, thank you, Mike, for all your years of service to the city of Seven Hills. And I sincerely wish you well and good health in the future, whatever that may hold. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Frondorf. Councilman Petro.
Mr. Chairman, also I'd like to wish first of all, thank Mike for all your service to the community and coaching and being elected, and the best of luck to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Petro. Councilman Kukrow.
Mr. President, thank you. I'd also just like to say thank you, Mr. Barth. It's been brief. I've only been here a little time, but I already have a much deeper appreciation for what you've done for your time here in terms of this job. It's more demanding than people really realize. So thank you for your service, and I wish you well in your future in Independence. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Kranek.
Yes, I'd also like to offer my thanks to Mike, and wish you the very best. I know you've been trying to balance the budget for years. Now that you're moving to Independence, I guess you can say you'll be in a city with a balanced budget. Maybe that's what it takes. So, God bless you and your family. Wish you the very best.
Thank you, Councilman Kranek. Councilman Biassiata.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to go off subject for a second. I'd like everyone to join me in a moment of silence for the victims of the terrorist act in Florida. Thank you, one and all. Wow. Good turnout here tonight. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to start out, I think all of Mike's family's here, by thanking them. In the short time I've been involved in council, I think sometimes our job might be tougher on the ones that love us than it actually is on ourselves. For me personally, it's time away from both my parents who are sick and my yard work. Nothing like not being around when your children are growing up or when your wife needs you. So thank you for your sacrifices to the whole Barth family. As for Councilman Barth, I'm just going to a couple weeks ago, I was talking with a Ward 1 resident, and they asked me if it was true he was resigning, and I said, yes, the family's moving to Independence. And the resident said, well, what a tough job y'all have, particularly it was for Mike. And he said, probably great, this was a compliment to him, but it's good advice to all of us that'll still be here. He said, Barth always did what he felt was right for the city, regardless if it was popular or not. And thank you for having the courage to do that, Councilman Barth. And I hope I have the same fortitude to do that when the tough decisions are here. On my short time on council, given all the changes, you could have sat on your hands, and I didn't see that. I've seen a number of instances where you offered your expertise, when to add something to consent agenda, how to pay for something, or even something, we had a resolution about contractors being city employees. Even, if it didn't matter who it was helping, you called it like it was, and thank you for that honesty. So lastly, I just say, wish you the best of luck in all your future endeavors, and thank you for your decade of service to the city of Seven Hills.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Barth.
Thank you, Councilman. First and foremost, our country suffered a great loss this last week with the loss of George Voinovich. George was a humble man who always knew his roots, and his roots were the same as mine, Collinwood. He was not only a good public servant, but he was a good, decent man, and I ask everybody to keep him and his family in your prayers. Finally, I'm going to surprise everyone tonight, and I'm not going to respond to Mr. Jaros. After all, why should I? I want to express my heartfelt thanks to the voters of Seven Hills for electing me 5 times as a councilman in Ward 1 and a councilman at large. I am honored and humbled that our residents have placed their trust in me and feel privileged to have served all the residents, not only as a councilman, but also in every leadership position on council and also as interim mayor. Usually, individuals enter the political field for 2 reasons. One is to fulfill their own political ambitions. Others run because they legitimately want to change policy and make a difference in the lives of their constituents. I chose the latter, and I feel I have made a difference. 2 accomplishments amongst many others that I'm most proud of are brokering a joint economic development agreement with the city of Cleveland that has resulted in over $4 million in tax revenues and water line and street improvements for our city. And as interim mayor, wooed and opened discussions with the nursing home developer and continued to work closely with Mayor Delaquila to make the nursing home on Rockside a reality. As I said, I'm proud of my legacy I'm leaving. I'm proud of what I helped accomplish over the last 10 years. What I'm sorry for is a personal tax and overall drama that has been part of this council over the years. and we should all accept responsibility in this. Critics attribute our city's previous and current financial issues on mismanagement. The truth is, in 2008, we suffered through a recession, as did the rest of the country. That recession still lingers on today. A few years later, we also lost nearly $1 million in state and local funding. After the 2008 recession, we were in worse financial shape that we are now in, but the then council and administration, with the help of our bond counsel, quietly and with no fanfare, worked together to put a 2-year plan in place to balance the budget. We followed that plan and were successful, but soon after that came the huge revenue loss from state and local funding cuts, which led to our current financial dilemma. Regarding that dilemma, the elected officials owe it to our residents to work together to resolve it. In closing, serving as a councilman gave me the opportunity to meet so many of our residents and develop relationships with so many of them. I truly value those relationships. It also gave me an opportunity to get to know so many of our employees. They are the lifeblood of the city and should be commended for all the hard work they do. I certainly appreciate that work. Also, a heartfelt thanks to you, Mayor Delacuilla, for not only your service to our city, but also for being a friend. A special thanks to my family and the support that they provided. And I didn't know it, but they're here tonight. My son, Mike, daughter, Christina, my cousin, Rosemary, my wife, Rose, my daughter, Anna, and her son, Fatty. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I really do. Lastly, I also want to thank Carol Sakarik, our council clerk, and all the council persons, past and present, who I was fortunate enough to work with. Arrivederci. It has been a good run, and thank you, Seven Hills, a city that has been so good for me and my family. That's a good point.
Okay. Guys. Okay, can we keep one meeting, please? I think I first met Councilman Barth when I would assume in first grade when I was at St. Columbkill, and Christina and I were in the same class. And over the years, I saw Mike throughout the community and through his involvement at St. Columbkill coaching and other things that he's done. And then as I got older and I started getting involved in Seven Hills a little bit more, got to know Mike as a kind of a campaign opponent and then as a colleague. And through his tenure here, Mike started as a planning commission member, got appointed to Ward 1 Council and then won election to Ward 1, served as our mayor for a period of time, and then as our councilman at large, and also our council president for a couple terms as well. Although we didn't always agree on issues and the direction of the city, I've always appreciated the relationship that we had. I was grateful that we could have conversations and be cordial and try to figure out how to best move Seven Hills forward. I wish you and your family the best in the future, and thank you for your service to the city of Seven Hills. I've got a couple items, business items. I have a variance request from the Zoning Board of Appeals. We discussed this in the prior caucus meeting. I'm going to make a motion to grant a variance to Robert Urbanski of 3970 Chestnut Road for a 4-foot variance to ordinance number 1106.02C, driveway construction to allow the existing driveway that is 1 foot from the lot line to be topped with a hard material. Can I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Variance has been granted. As far as according to our charter and the rules of council, the city council has 30 days to appoint a successor to Councilman Barth's position. His resignation is effective June 20th. On that date, City Council will begin accepting resumes to fill that seat. We are asking for resumes to be submitted to the Clerk of Council's office. At that point, interviews will be scheduled, and we're looking at the dates of June 27th or July 5th, with a appointment on the council meeting of July 11th. If anybody is interested in applying to join our city council, please submit your resume to the clerk and spread the word. Finally, I would like to wish a happy 75th birthday to Councilman Kranek.
That wasn't necessary, but thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, if there is nothing further,
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Barth.
I have one more introduction, that I
Please.
forgot. My daughter Anna's friend Fatty is here. Thank you for coming, Fatty. So, that's it.
Thank you.
Now, make the motion to adjourn.
I'll make the second. Please call the roll.
Barth?
Yes.
Biassiata?
Yes.
Frondor?
Yes.
Kranek?
Yes.
Kukrow?
Yes.
Petro?
Yes.
Traffus?
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.
Oh, it just comes out.
Taking minutes, I feel like I'm writing.